Checkin In podcast. Today is July the 8th, 2021. Thank you for tuning in. I'm just going to modulate the volume here a little bit more. Glad to have you guys joining in on the Been Checkin In podcast. Today is a fantastic sunny day already. We have great forecast here in Calgary, Alberta this week, which is fantastic because we love to see this kind of weather. But I'm also thrilled to start my morning or my day with you guys here on the Ben Checkin In podcast. My name is Benny. I'm the host. And this is the podcast where we celebrate doing three key things. Number one, we love growing in awareness of ourselves. Love growing in awareness of ourselves, who we are, where we're going, what makes us us. Hello, my dear friends. Nice to see you coming in on the podcast. Secondly, we like to focus on what kindness towards ourselves looks like as we're in process and change. So how do we grow to be kind to ourselves as we grow in becoming better versions of ourselves? And finally, I like to talk about happiness. Why? Because I love being happy. I love experiencing happiness, but the kind of happiness that gets right down to the core of you, the kind of happiness that has space to amplify and express itself because we are intentionally working on all those other emotions that usually aren't as comfortable but necessary to work through. So these are the three things that drive and define what I do here on the Been Checkin In podcast. I like to do this on a weekday basis. So every weekday I come on in the morning usually to connect with you guys, to share with you my process of thinking by asking a self-reflective question. Today is episode number 49. 49 is amazing. We're just around the corner from the 50th episode, which is going to be super fantastic. That is quite an accomplishment, I think, and I'm very much celebrating that. And I'm so glad to have you guys joining in. So tomorrow, big one, number 50, which is amazing. But thank you for joining today's episode, the 49th, on the Been Checkin In podcast. Today's question is as follows. Today we are answering the question, what one thing have you wanted to do but not been brave enough to try? What's one thing you've been meaning to get to, you've wanted to do, but you have not been brave enough to try? I'm going to get vulnerable with you guys again today and sharing my answer. But before I do share my answer, I do what I usually do in talking a little bit about the question, why I think the question is worthwhile answering, what it's supposed to be doing as you're considering that question. And yeah, some of my surface thoughts on first observations as I ask the question. Biniam says, what? I've just finished school. How are you? I'm awesome. How are you? Nice to have you joining in. Welcome back. I'm so thrilled you're here, and congratulations on finishing school. That is, hold on. Are you saying you finished school for the day or for like you finished like your final grade in high school or university? Let me know because I don't quite know. It's Kyle, by the way. Just changed the username. I was wondering because I was like, I don't recognize the name, but I know you're a moderator, so you're one of my close peeps on here. I am on 3 live streams here. I'm on the TikTok live stream over here. I'm on the Instagram live stream right over here. And of course, the YouTube live stream. I love making this interactive to hear your guys' thoughts as we go along. Finished for the day because you live in Scotland, remember. Thank you, Kyle. That's helpful. Very helpful. You're a few hours ahead of us here. Kids are just getting ready to be on their way to school. And so, yeah, they can't quite say what you're saying, but that's awesome. Welcome to the end of your day. Yes, so we got the 3 live streams on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And of course, I'm recording here the audio for the podcast. Hello, Clint. I'm awesome. Nice to see you. Why do you carry many pens? Because I love capturing ideas when they come up in my little notepad. And so that's why I carry pens in my pocket protector, just because when a good idea comes, I want to capture it. I want to capture good ideas. And sometimes, you know what that experience is like when you think of something and you're like, that's a great thought. But then you try to remember later. That's why I do what I do. I like doing what I do so I can capture it for that reason. So yes, there is a Spotify recording that's going on as well. But the Instagram and the YouTube live stream are also recorded so that if you guys can't catch the live stream, you can still follow up with the recording. And it's there for in perpetuity. There we are. There's a fun word to say at this hour of the morning. But the question again, like we're answering today on today's podcast, is what's one thing you wanted to do but not been brave enough to try? This is a question that's going to cause me to say, here is something that I feel conscientious in sharing with you guys, but I'm going to do so because this is how I practice vulnerability. Here's how I practice being in the present. Here's how I'm practicing sharing the real me with you. And a lot of times, yes, I have lots of answers or insights or perspectives that are very like, I know exactly where my answer is. But then there's also times when I'm going to be sharing with you guys from Barcelona. How are you? Nice to see you. There are also times, however, when I'm going to be sharing with you when I don't have it together, when I'm still fumbling my way forward. There's some things that I also experience that cause me fear. There's some things that cause me uncertainty or anxiety. And so I want to share what that is like for me, one who doesn't necessarily struggle with anxiety. There are some things that cause me to say, ooh, I don't know if I can pull this off here. But I'm happy to share that with you because that's how I want to share me fully with you guys. So let's dive into this question and find out why this is a worthwhile question in the first place. The question again, what's one thing you've wanted to do but not been brave enough to try? Here I see the first thing that causes me to say, here's something that I'm being moved. Here's a point that I'm moving towards where I'm having to assess where do I lack courage? Because I'm seeing the second part. It says, I want to do it. There's desire there, but I haven't been brave enough. I don't have enough courage to walk into that threshold of saying, what does this look like for me to engage at this level here? I want this, but I'm kind of scared about it. I'm kind of fearful. I'm kind of anxious about walking out onto this zone right here. That's what I'm seeing. I've not been brave enough. I've not had enough courage. Can I tell you, for the longest time I've been operating out of a lack of courage. Now, I've been able to accomplish some amazing things over the last few decades of my life, some tremendous accomplishments, but it's been from the premise of fearfulness, of being compelled because I want to fit someone else's ideal of what I should be. And so I've always felt like I've robbed myself of confidence to express who I am, regardless of what people think. Do you hear what I'm saying? I think there's a lot of you who are in the same space as I am. A lot of you, like me, are afraid of how you're going to be perceived. And so you haven't been brave enough, like me, to say what you mean, to express what you feel, to be able to make your stand because you're afraid of how it's going to look on you, how it's going to reflect on you, how people are going to judge you, all that kind of stuff. That's the zone that I lived in for the longest time. So I can so resonate with this question, and it still brings up that sense of that gut feeling sense of mm, inadequacy is probably the word that best describes what that means when it says I haven't been brave enough. I hear the word inside of me saying inadequate. I was inadequate because I couldn't actually pull through where I wanted to go, what I wanted to say, what I wanted to do, because I was more governed by what other people's thoughts and perceptions about me were. So this question brings to that forefront that sense that I once experienced and that I still continue experiencing. What's one thing that I wanted to do, but I haven't been brave enough, that I haven't been courageous enough to try? So first, we're being asked to consider the desire component. What do we really want to accomplish? Maybe it's someone you want to say something to. Maybe it's someone you've developed feelings for. Maybe it's something that you are feeling compelled to walk out on, but you're not sure if you have the courage to do it. Maybe you want to go and skydive or do some adrenaline packed activity. Maybe it's another thing where you want to have a conversation that's going to be difficult with someone who's close to you, but you're a little fearful of what the outcome could be. There's the desire component that comes first. It says, I want this, but man, is it scary. I want to be able to step in front of the stage and do this act. I want to be able to act this part, but man, it's kind of scary when I'm thinking about that prospect. And so the lack there is in the courageous expression, the opportunity to be brave and say, it's fearful, but I'm going to do it. And so we've been held back. There is that holding back sense there, right? Because of the lack of courage, we're in essence like holding back and saying, I don't know if I can walk forward in this right now. I don't know if I can move in the trajectory that I want to express my desire because this is going to take a lot out of me. And I don't know what the outcome is. And usually it's the uncertain outcome that keeps us sort of bound, that keeps us sort of muted, that keeps us kind of subdued, if you will. What is that causes us to do that? That's what I'm trying to aim for here when we're considering this question of what's one thing you wanted to do but not been brave enough to try. And then there's the last word on that, to try. Trying is like making an attempt. When we make attempts, it's not like we're guaranteed success, is it? When we're trying something, when we're putting ourselves out there, there's that element that says, hey, I'm not guaranteed success at all. Most of us, if you're like me, we want to walk out in confidence, knowing that we're going to be able to be successful at something. But in the absence of that, we're going to hold back and say, I'm out. I don't want to be part of this. I don't know if I can have what I desire, and that is success. And so we don't even want to try. The brave enough to try, the trying component, does not guarantee you success. Me coming on this platform, me doing this podcast, I'm not considered I'm not guaranteed success. I've got, I was just reviewing my goals here this morning. I've got some ambitious goals. There's some big things I want to accomplish. I posted it on what I call my accomplishment manifesto. There's 5 things that I'm working towards. Ambitious goals. I'm not even guaranteed success in all 5 of them, but I'm striving for them. I'm putting myself out there to try it. I'm talking about it so I can be committed to it, but I'm not guaranteed that success. That took courage on my part to say, I'm aiming for this. I'm going to accomplish this. I'm going to do or fulfill on this. But I may make it. I may not make it. I have no idea. What does it look like for us to put ourselves out there in such a way whereby we can experience that risk category? You see the courageous piece. For those of you coming on the live stream, welcome and good morning. The question we're answering today is, what's one thing you've wanted to do but never been brave enough to try? What's the one thing you really want to accomplish, that you want to get to do, but you lack the courage to do it? There's a desire piece where we're saying we want to do this, but then there's the fear factor. I don't know if I can do this. This is like beyond my comfort zone. I'm scared of the outcome. And the try piece at the end of the you've been you've been you have not been brave enough to try. That piece there on the try is where maybe it's scary because we just are not we're not guaranteed success. And when we don't feel success, we feel like a failure. And when we feel like a failure, we feel like we're being judged and written off by others as incompetent, and all these other discouraging emotions come along the way. Tara, now this is Vince. Vince says, I'd love to start making my own company with my gardening knowledge. I'm scared because I'm not business savvy. Great way to summarize your question, my friend. That's yeah. You have a desire to start something and you're like, this is what I want to do. And yet you're not sure if you can fulfill on it because you feel like you don't have all that you need in moving towards it. And so we kind of get bound in the trying, but on the other side of trying, in the consideration mode instead of the doing mode, right? No, I totally hear you, Vince. It's a scary place to be. It's an immobilizing place, isn't it? So I hear you. I can totally relate. So there's those 3 things. Number 1, it starts off with a desire. Number 2, it starts off with, oh, do I have what it takes to do this? And then you kind of freak out. And then that fear factor causes you to not even go out there and try in the first place. That's where my experience has come from as I reflect on this. And so, yeah. So as we go forward now, let me share with you in a more vulnerable way how I'm responding to this question and what my answer is. What's one thing that I've wanted to do but not been brave enough to try? There have been so many things that I've grown through these last few years. I've experienced massive growth in me and how I'm putting myself out there. I've experienced some significant encouragement along the way. I've seen some massive changes that have been super thrilling for me to observe about me and how I'm moving and changing as a person. Love what I see. I'm so encouraged by that. But here's where I'm fumbling. Hello, Alex. Nice to see you, my friend. Here's where I'm fumbling. I am still trying to think of myself in a way that is appropriate to where I'm going. And to be able to accomplish that, the area that I'm still holding back by way of fear is fully expressing how amazing I am. That sounds really bad, but let me see if I can give some caveats. I'm not some egotistical, narcissistic person who's like, it's all about me, not at all. But I do believe strongly in being able to express how one is doing at any given point in time, especially when it comes to identifying and acknowledging our skill sets, our abilities, our accomplishments. So, for example, I don't think it's boasting for me to say I have an amazing personality. I know that. I thrive. I love the person that I am. I love hanging out with me because I think I've worked at some things really well that even my own company is amazing to me. I'm like, this is great. I'm so thankful that I have the mind that I have. I'm so thankful for the intellect and the wisdom that I have. Now, mind you, as you probably know from my story, it was gained at a very high cost with some really bad decisions I made along the way that I learned from it and saying, I don't want to go back there. So I'm being very aware of how I got to where I'm at and what the cost was to get here. The cost was really high. I'm super thrilled I'm here, but I wish it hadn't been the way it was. But now that I'm here, I really appreciate the abilities that I have experienced, the intellect, the intuition, the way that I'm engaging. But there are some elements of fear in which I still hold back, in which I try to dim my light a little bit because I'm like, oh, this is really uncomfortable for me to step out and like be, this is me, world, and take me as I am. That's one of the areas that I feel really like challenged personally is in that element of saying, how do I capture the full essence in describing me as I present myself to the world? This comes specifically in a practical way for me. These last few weeks, I've just been racking my brain trying to like look at my business plan here and how I want to communicate and articulate what I'm presenting to the world. I'm super enthusiastic and ecstatic about what I'm about to do, how I'm going to present my content, and how I want to come alongside and help people. You have a great personality. Thank you very much. That's really kind of you to say. I I acknowledge that. Once upon a time, I'd been like, no, I'm just, that's just me. And I would have tried to downplay that. But now I can look at your comment, Alex, and say, that's very kind of you to say, thank you for acknowledging. I do see it. And I'm aware of that as well. And so I can own what is resonating with me. And I do resonate with that. I do believe I have an amazing personality and I'm so thankful for it. I want to be humble, yes, but I also want to be honest about what I have and what I don't have. What I don't have at this current point is this courage, this confidence to be able to say, hey, I can guarantee that if you're interacting with me, there is going to be a strong element of and um, encouragement and courageousness that you're going to walk away with about who you are, what you do amazing, and where you're going to go in the world. This is what I've held back from saying because I wanted to place a caveat saying I can't guarantee that because everyone's so different. Even though like 98, 99% of the people that I get to talk with and interact with are super thrilled about the way that we've engaged and connected and communicated. And as I've seen so many lives enriched because of what I do in the way I connect with them, I still hold back and say, no, I can't say that I'm that amazing, that I'm going to have this effect on people. That's held me back, especially in my business pursuits, where I'm like, I don't want to overpromise something that isn't going to be across the board a standard experience from many. And so that's one thing when I think about the question, what's one thing I've wanted to do but not been brave enough to try, is to be so bold and daring in what I'm promising and saying, when you interact with me, this is your response. This is what you're going to get when you're with me. You're going to get this holistic attendance to all of you. Your heart, your mind, your soul is going to be fed. You're going to be like bolstered in such a way that after our interaction, you're going to walk away believing that you can accomplish what it is in front of you. I'm really gifted at enabling people to be able to walk into their power. That's something I do super well. But when it comes to me trying to articulate this, I'm really uncertain of if I can make that promise. Can I really make that promise? Do I have that ability? When I've seen over and over and over this consistency in the way I talk to people. So there's that element that continues to bind me. I want to be able to say to people, hey, when you're with me, you've got my attention, and you have my attention in such a way where I'm going to bring my full um, superpowers of how I'm able to think through your problems, how I'm able to see what you may not be able to see, how I'm able to speak right into your context, how I'm able to do some amazing, fantastic, and marvelous things that you know you're going to get an amazing result in your own experience. That's going to open up in such a way massive frontiers in what you're planning or trying to go for in your life. See how much confidence I just said that? That is what I failed to do. I'm not sure I have that confidence to be able to say, I own what my gifts are and I can totally do it. I'm still in that zone where I'm downplaying myself and saying, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can say that. I'm not sure if this is overpromising. I'm not sure if I'm being perceived as someone who's ostentatious or presumptuous in his ability to do all of the above. So I'm just taking a breath here because I'm just walking back from the excitement from which I just ascended. It's almost like I'm stepping up to plate, in a baseball game. I know the power that I have. And I know that I've got this amazing swing. And I know I can make contact with that ball with my bat in such a way that it's going to be a home run. It's going to be hit right out of the stadium. I have that kind of confidence in my ability, in my abilities. But as I step up to bat, what tends to happen for me is I'm saying, oh boy, I don't want to seem like I'm overconfident on this one here. Maybe I should just kind of tap it instead. I know I can hit it out of the diamond, but I'm just going to tap it just because I'm afraid of the space that I'm taking and the way that I'm going to be perceived by other people. And so that's one of the things that causes me to say, oh, is this safe for me to do this? Can I actually give myself permission to walk into this threshold here? Because that's kind of scary. That's really scary. But that's what I know that I have the ability to accomplish. So, what's one thing that I've wanted to do but not been brave enough to try is to speak with such confidence when I'm making my promises that, yes, I got this. I got you. Come with me. Subscribe to my services. And here is the effect that you're going to experience with me. You're going to experience massive transformation whereby you're going to be empowered. You're going to be set free. You're going to be unleashed to be able to accomplish some amazing, fantastic things on your horizon. I have that ability to be able to speak truthfully to people, to hear their story, to be able to understand what their desire is, to be able to encourage them in the midst of their growth, to be able to be aware of what it is they're trying to accomplish and say, hey, this is not realistic, but this is. Consider what this looks like, and to be able to inspire that kind of engagement that enables you to be able to walk with boldness and confidence into your future, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. And I'd be just standing on the sidelines saying, yep, you go, because I was able to set your flame. There's so many of my close friends, so many of my people who are really close to me who have really benefited from what I do. They come to me, they call me up and say, Binyam, can we have a private conversation? Binyam, can we go for a walk so I can process some things. I love what I'm able to do for those that are near and close to me. And on top of this, I've seen this also as I interact with my riders, my Uber. I've seen that power that I extend when I'm engaging and interacting with them, whereby even before they get in the vehicle, their defenses are coming down. Their guard is coming down. They're willingly and voluntarily saying, I'm open to you and where you're hoping to lead, like where you want to lead me. They're in essence giving me this silly putty that is their hearts, their minds, their vulnerable souls. They're giving this silly putty, which is really sacred. This is soft stuff they're sharing with me. This is their vulnerable stuff. The stuff they don't just share with just anyone. They're giving this to someone like me and saying, based on how you're presenting yourself, I'm willing to take the risk of sharing this with you. And I'm doing this because I think I trust that you're going to do me right. I think I trust that you're going to lead me down a really helpful path. And so I receive that package of their mushy vulnerability, their soft parts, and I take it and I handle it delicately. And I start pointing out different areas and showing it to them, saying, have you considered this? Have you processed this? Have you done this? Have you considered and tried this? And as I do this for these individuals, they're able to grow in confidence, saying, this was a good investment for me to give you this part of me that is really scary. And as they see me handling it carefully, they can feel that it's in good hands. They can sense that they are going to be the better for it because I am enabling them to get stronger. I'm enabling them to walk into their power. I'm enabling them to find their voice. See how confident I am in my skill set, in the way I connect with people. This is what I do well. This is like my superpower. And yet, with my superpower, I don't know why it is that I am sort of slowing down when it comes to the point of encouraging others to follow me. I have something that's worthwhile following, but I'm saying, I don't know if I'm worthwhile following. I struggle in being able to say, this is what I'm doing. Here's how I'm able to do it really well. Come follow me. Instead, I subdue myself. So, what is one thing that I want to do? I want to speak courageously. I want to speak with boldness in what I do really well without being fearful of what people are going to think of me. And then, as I put forth my promise, here's what I can do for you in a really bold and courageous way that says, I know that this is what I do well. Not being able to walk back from that and saying, but I might not be your jam. No. I do believe I'm your jam. I do believe I have what it takes to be able to help you in your own context. And with that sense of confidence, that's where I want to be able to grow brave and courageous in the way I think of myself first and how I talk about what I'm able to do, how I'm able to articulate and make those promises saying, hey, with me, you're going to experience this. Now, I'm still struggling to figure out what this is and how I want to communicate that because there's so many things I do really well that touch on how I help a person become a better version of themselves, how I enable them to walk in their power, how I'm able to bolster their confidence and how I'm able to encourage and inspire them. So many things I do so well, but how to be able to succinctly put that. But nonetheless, when it comes time to do so, how can I speak with confidence, with courageousness in the way I'm making my promises? That's what I'm really, really wanting to experience. So this is one of those questions that helps us consider the goals that we're walking towards. For me, this is an area that I am trying to figure out, how can I walk into this area here of my experience and being able to say to those that I'm engaging, come with me. I got your back. I got your back in such a way that you're going to look back and say, this was a game changer. Having Binyam come into my life, having Binyam walk alongside me, having Binyam speak into my context, having Binyam understand the way I work, this was a game changer for me. And I'm so glad I made that investment. I'm so solid on my confidence that I can bring about that kind of change because I've been living it for the past few years. However, what does it look like? What does it look like for me now to be able to walk into that with intentionality that says, oh, I got this. This is like, I'm owning this. This is like where my superpower is going to lie. That is what I'm aiming for experiencing in a really courageous way. What is your area? I know Vince is sharing how he's looking forward to getting into his own company for with his gardening knowledge, but he's just not sure about the business part. My dear Vince, let me encourage you to take baby steps in stepping out there. How about some of you else? Let me know in the comments if you would. That thing that you want to do, you're desiring it, but you're not sure that you have what it takes. You're not sure that you're brave enough to try it because of X, Y, or Z that makes you feel incompetent, that makes you feel like you're lacking still. Share that with me, and I will interact with you. I'll engage with you to encourage you towards what that could be, because I love seeing you guys experience your own dreams. I'm aiming for mine, and part of this for me is growing in self-awareness. Here's me being aware of me and where my hiccups are along the way as I try to become that amazing version of me. Here's me trying to be kind to myself in the process, saying, hey, I'm not quite there yet, but I'm working my way towards there. And pursuing my happiness and saying, hey, I'm going to be thrilled by the outcome as I process a lot of these insecurities that I'm still facing. I want to walk alongside you as you're doing the same too. I would love to hear from you guys. Would you get in touch with me? Send me your comments. Send me your messages. I would love to follow up with you. Until tomorrow, much love to you guys. Thank you for being on this episode. I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.